What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of my hip hop review. But before I start, it wouldn't be right if I didn't say rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. Bro, like I literally was just coming from watching that movie and shit like that, Us, and I was going through my phone and I think it was my homeboy, it was Ricardo of Speaker Cloud that said that he got shot and shit like that. It was just shocking as fuck. But yeah, man, Nipsey Hussle, for those of you guys who don't know, he's West Coast MC, born in LA and shit like that. Huge following in the West Coast underground scene and shit. I first heard Nipsey Hussle back in '09 with the song Hustle in the House and shit. Dope, dope, dope song. Um, with that being said, he dropped mixtapes and shit like that. Appeared on a lot of people's songs like Drake and Snoop Dogg. He appeared on the double XL freshman list in 2010. He was supposed to have dropped his original debut, South Central State of Mind, back in 2010, but for some reason the album got shelved and shit like that. So yeah, so then he still kept grinding and shit. He still kept grinding. Um, and I gotta be quite honest with you guys. I gotta actually re-listen to some of his work and shit like that because I like Nipsey Hussle, but I have to be real with you. I have not really listened to a lot of his shit, and I hate to really be safe. I hate when it takes somebody to die for that shit to really happen and shit. But at least I'm being honest with it. I did hear a couple of tracks from Victory Lap, which I do fuck with, and I'm most likely might get the album. If I see it in store, I'll probably get it. But yeah, very dope artist, very dope West Coast artist and shit. I want to give my condolences to his family. Lauren London. He got shot outside of his own fucking store and shit like that. It's crazy as fuck, man. And the crazy thing about it is like crazy thing about it at the time of his death, he was trying to do a documentary about Dr. Sebi, try to do some work with STEM research and shit like that. Yeah, shit like that. So he was trying to do like a lot of good things, positive things for his community and shit like that. But these motherfuckers right here, they can't take shit. They take shit for granted, which that is the one thing I do want to discuss and shit. I hate to be that dude, but this death was really just made me really think though about certain shit. Because I was talking to Kuji about this. I'm gonna get into the review in a minute. Trust me, I'll get to the review. But it's like you have these certain guys that they see a certain rapper getting famous and shit like that. Then they want to get a piece of your shine and shit like that because of the fact that they don't want to do the work for it. But yeah, man, I just hate how niggas do shit like that. Look what happened to fucking Big L. To be real with you, but I don't want to really cause it to a rant. I'm just really at a loss for words right now because it's like Nipsey Hussle. I saw like a lot of. He could have been like really up there and shit like that. But I mean, he could have been. I wish he was like more bigger than he was and shit. But who knows what could have happened and shit when he was alive. But with that being said, rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. Um, Definitely rest in peace. Now let's get started with the album. And the album I'm about to review tonight is Rick James with the Throwin Down. Sorry about that. I had to rewrite something on one of my notes and shit like that. But yeah. The album I'm about to review tonight is Rick James with The Throwin Down. Released in 1982 on Gordy under Motown Records. Give me 1 second. I had to turn the volume down because it's currently 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Alright, so Throwin Down. Singles albums known for were. Give me 1 second. It came out with 2 singles. Well, it says here 1, but technically it came with 2 singles. The official single, the only single was Dance With Me. Dance With Me was a single, but then it also has some other notable songs and shit like, give me 1 second. Yeah, that's my shit, bro. But Standing on the Top, hard to get, and She Blew My Mind 69 times. But like the best known singles were Dance With Me and what's the joint? Standing on the Top. Alright. So yeah, you guys should know that I've done a review on Street Songs not too long ago, about a couple months ago, with Mike and Tribero. That was a very, 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 very dope album. Very dope album and shit. A lot of people have said that was his best album, which I can't even argue with that. But I have other ones where I kind of find as my favorite, which is the Busting Out the 7-Eleven, and shit like that, and the Garden of Love album, surprisingly, which is an album that kind of gets shitted on with his fan base and shit like that, which is understandable. It's just kind of understandable in a way because, you know, he was going for that more smooth soul. He was going for that smooth soul kind of sound and shit like that. But at the same time, it's kind of like a very different album from Rick James and shit like that. Like a very relaxing album from Rick James. But yeah, with that being said, after the release of Garden of Love, he relocated back to Buffalo and shit, where he got back to his roots and shit, got the funk up his ass basically, and he dropped the infamous Street Songs album. Dope album. That album had classic cuts like Super Freak, Got It, Give It To Me Baby, Ghetto Life, and so on and so on. So that was sort of like Rick James's comeback, if you want to be technical. If you want to be technical, that was sort of like his comeback and shit. Give me 1 second. Yeah. And so, also around that time, he had begun dating Marvin Gaye's ex-wife at that time, Jan Gaye, and shit like that. And also around that time too, while he was getting like a lot of popularity from Street Songs, you know, I think he got a few American Music Awards and shit. He actually, his music video for Super Freak got banned. It got banned and shit from MTV. And this was the year in 1981 when MTV debuted in the airwaves and shit, because they said that the video was too sexual and shit like that, which the video is pretty tame now, to be real, because, you know, they were looking at all those girls in the outfits and shit, but compared to a lot of other shit that MTV put out that decade and shit, that video was pretty tame on some real shit. But yeah, so he boycotted MTV. I think, believe it or not, he was the first artist that boycotted MTV way before, you know, David Bowie said that in an interview and shit like that. But yeah, and ironically, the first song that he ever had on MTV, believe it or not, was the duet he did with Eddie Murphy with Party All the Time and shit. So with that next year, you know, he was still on his like commercial reign and stuff, and that's when he dropped this album right here. I'm putting y'all this way. I think Big Daddy Kane and Rick James, when it comes to album covers, them niggas are just on some other shit. You know what I'm saying? But cause yeah, This shit right here, I think it's like some Greek mythology, some shit like that, but yeah. Shit, Rick was that nigga though, but yeah. You know, we got the lyrics right here and shit like that, which I love. Which I always fucking love when it comes to these vinyls and shit, you know. Oh, by the way, I appreciate the love that we've been getting for these videos lately with Speak of Clout. Like, appreciate the love over the Nipsey Hussle video, the love over the Rare Albums video we did last week, and shit like that. Oh, and shout out to Ashley Burke and shit like that. She's now like an official member and shit, so yeah. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Right. Sorry about that, my throat got a little dry, but alright, so 9 songs, you guys should know what I'm about to do. Oh, by the way, I forgot one more thing. Rick James produced this whole album, basically. Just had to throw that out there. Also, he had a few guest appearances on his album too, you know. Besides the usual Stone City Band, he had Roy Ayers dissing Gus, and Grace Slick and shit like that was guest starred on this album. The same Grace Slick that was the female frontman off the Jefferson Airplane. Very dope rock singer and shit like that. She does not get the props that she deserves, in my personal opinion, though. But yeah, fucking Grace Slick. But she just did background vocals, and yeah. Track number 1, Dance With Me. This is a song that features Roy Ayers and shit. Dope jazz artists and shit. Yeah, so according to my sources, they say that this song was somewhat of a tribute to Marvin Gaye. And I can sort of see it in a way because, you know, around that time, if you listen to like a lot of Marvin's latter period stuff, the upbeat material, you can hear like the horns, like the upbeats kind of feel to it, like, and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, very dope song. I love this song. I don't hear a lot of people talk about this one joint, Dance With Me and shit, but to each its own, to be real. Yeah, man. Very dope song. That's like a very upbeat shit, you know what I'm saying? But track number 2, Money Talks, which is playing in the background. Yeah, this was sort of like a conscious song for Rick James as well, because he was talking about, of course, the dangers of money and shit. You know, how money can destroy a person and shit like that. I'm gonna pull up some lyrics. Give me 1 second. Hold up, give me one. Laptop sometimes it aggravates me. Sometimes it runs slow. But yeah, very good song. Money Talks. Sort of like a different song. From Rick James. You know, talking about something different. And again, always talking about something different in his songs and shit like that. You know, he was talking about hold on. Why does this shit want to be slow right fucking now? Ugh. Thank you. He said some shit like, "Don't need $1 to be a scholar. Drop all your money and don't you holler. When you hold the cash and the dough, and those greenback dollars go, money's walking. People need to eat to put shoes on their little baby's feet. That's money talking, yeah." And that shit's so fucking true at times. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, very dope song, Money Talks. Track number 3 is Teardrops. That song was alright. Not really too big on that one song because it's just an okay song. not really too big on it, but yeah. Then we got to track number 4 with Throwdown. Very funky driven track right there. Very funky driven track right there. Rick, on his usual don't give no fucks vibe on this shit, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, Throwdown, definitely a dope banger. Next track, Standing on the Top. Another guest appearance I forgot to mention was The Temptations. With this song, it's talking about how no matter how you get on top and shit like that, no matter how successful you are, there's always somebody that's trying to make you lose your downfall and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I got from that. This song pretty much kind of, it's not like one of my favorite songs, because this song came out around the time when the Temptations had that reunion, basically. And if you're a Temptations fan, you should know how big that reunion was back in the early 80s, because you had like all of them niggas like Ruffin and Eddie Kendricks and Dennis Edwards coming back and shit like that. So, and with that reunion, you know, I saw some concerts for the tour, and while I did appreciate the song, I personally just kind of felt like, you know, I personally felt like the Temptations really wasn't needed for this song. Part of me felt like that. I don't remember, I like the Temptations and shit like that. I like the Temptations, but this was around the time when, you know, they were coming back, and I just felt like, you know, with Rick James being his star power at that time, it was just like, that era, it was just like Rick James presents the Temptations and shit, because with the reunion album as well, this was also on the reunion album as well and shit like that, so that's why it's kind of an iffy track, and it was the most successful song from the reunion album. So yeah, that's just my take on Standing on the Top, but that's a song where it's a very cool song, hearing like two Motown legends on the song. So yeah, very cool song. Next track, Hard to Get. Pretty much that's my favorite song off this album. In a way, one can see it possibly as a sequel to either like Super Freak or Give It to Me Baby and shit like that. This song, you know, kind of adds on like a little rock appeal. Like his guitar playing on the song was very dope and shit. Then we got to fucking Happy with Tina Marie. Jesus Christ, man. Like, while this song is not really as memorable or as impactful as like Fire and Desire, it still deserves to get its attention and shit, because, you know, anytime Rick James and Tina Marie do a song together, it's always, you can always expect fireworks from those two and shit, you know. I personally I liked once the song got into the second half point, because it was just like both of them just really letting everything off together and shit like that. I like that one line that they was saying fast. It was like, hold on, I'm trying to pull it up. It's like, you go from the bottom of my toes to the top of my head. I just love how fast they were singing that song, you saying that line and shit. And this was around the time too where Tina Marie was having problems with Motown at that time, but I'm gonna get more into that when I review her album and shit. So that's Happy. Then you got 69 Times. 69, but yeah. That's a very cool song, you know, not one of my favorite songs and shit. I love the synthesizer that was placed on that song. And then you got more My Love, which was a decent song. I wouldn't have ended off the album with My Love, to keep it a buck with y'all. And that is Throwin Down. Overall, this album, very dope album, in my opinion. This album really is just like a very funky album, like a continuation, pretty much of what's the album? Street Songs and shit. So yeah, I fucking love this album. Loki, it took me years to really. I didn't really hear this album until a couple months ago, to be honest with you guys and shit. Like, cause I don't know, I just always skipped over this album. Maybe because of the album cover, but this is actually a very good album. I wouldn't even go as far as even saying it's like one of his best albums and shit. And it was also around this time where he wanted to form a girl group, and he was working on forming the, what's the group called? Mary Jane Girls and shit, which 50-50 chance I will possibly talk about one of their albums and shit. So yeah, fucking Throwin Down. According to Discogs, this album was re-released in the US in 2012 and shit like that, I believe from Hippo, but Motown re-released this album as far as like their Motown 60th anniversary collection in Japan and shit like that. But right, Throwin Down 1982. If you can find this album, you must have in your collection. And that's all the time I have for this review. Stay tuned for more. Peace.